are flipping the pyramid. Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.co.uk.
Flip the pyramid.
Turning that pyramid on its head.
Flipping the pyramid. Flip the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flip the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.co.uk.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the pyramid.co.uk.
Flipping the pyramid.
Flipping the whole paradigm of that hierarchical system on its head.
Brainworms. Yeah, brainworms in your head. Hello folks, welcome to Virtual Shamanizing with me, the HairyCookieMunster, here on FlippingThePyramid.co.uk. Yes, you can hear me okay in the chat room, cool. Yes, I was just thinking, flipping the pyramid, flipping the pyramid, flipping the pyramid, flipping the pyramid. Brainworms. Yes, I'm sure we could reference lots of different so-called music that's out there nowadays that could simply be defined as brainworms. Yes, maybe. Yeah, I'm being a little bit silly, so what? Yeah, you have to have a laugh now and then. And yeah, if you can recognise this stuff, what's that Aristotle quote? The mark of an educated mind is being able to entertain an idea without actually accepting it. Maybe paraphrasing that a bit, I can't remember it exactly, but you get the point. We've said this lots and lots and lots of times before. Yes, where shall I begin? Where shall I begin? It has been so far a very interesting week, as per usual. Oh yeah, it's the 9th of the 8th of the 12th. Play with your numerological interests, if you so wish. This weekend especially, I think, could be interesting. I wasn't intending to go off in that direction for any particular reasons, but I think the coming week will be another, one way or the other, it will be another release of constipated energies. Let's put it that way. Like I was talking about last week, the bowel movement. Are you pushing shit out or keeping shit in? We shall see what we shall see occurs over the weekend. Of course, there were lots and lots of people shouting and yelling about it and this, that and the other. Yes, anyway, we shall see. So far it's been interesting. This week, even just today, I've spent at least 4 hours reading articles, looking at video uploads, reading reference material. Yeah, lots and lots and lots of interesting things going on at the moment. I think, you know, you could long argue about the fact that I think a lot of people might, from my opinion, from my point of view, knew full well or expected certainly the latter half of this year to be fairly intense in this respect. Is it the frequency of novelty increasing? Are we getting tighter and tighter in that spiral to that point of novelty? Oh, massive debate there. But anyway, yes, lots been going on this week. One particular article, yeah, I'm possibly going to ramble around the news in general recently from this week. There's a few particular things I want to pick on, point at, highlight, whatever. there is a fairly obvious common theme going on here, but that's just seemingly daily life today. This common theme. Yes, what's the chocolate ration for today? How many ounces will we get today? What is the chocolate ration for today? Yes, anyway. I think could actually do a little jingle or something for that one of the days. Maybe. Anyway, this particular article, which, considering some of their recent articles, was like I was going to say a breath of fresh air, considering the content that's not really very appropriate. But anyway, yeah, from The Guardian, reading this at theguardian.co.uk, there's been a few interesting articles put out by The Guardian recently, the majority of them being tripe, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, from my perspective, apart from this one, Mr. Skelton, Charlie Skelton, one of the few clear voices, I think. Not everybody in the press is a prostitute. Not the entire thing is a conspiracy theory. La la la. This usual kind of straw man of, so you think everybody in the world is in on a conspiracy theory? The body of the snake doesn't need to know what the head is doing, and vice versa. But anyway, yes, one of the few clearer voices out there in journalism. It is quite a long article, as per usual. I'm not going to read it out or anything. It's up to you to go and look at it. Yes, for those just listening, not seeing the chat room, at The Guardian's website, title of the article is "The Syrian Opposition, Who's Doing the Talking?" Written by Charlie Skelton. This is... It's a little bit old, 12th of July, but I feel, as I say, considering some of the other tripe that's been put out through The Guardian recently, it's a very, very relevant article if you want some reference material about the current situation in Syria and who are some of the string pullers, the international players that are involved in manipulating the current situation in Syria. There's lots and lots of links in there. So, as I say, to me, good reference material, because it's a good jumping off point where you can go and check into stuff further for yourself, investigate and research for yourself. So yeah, I wanted to put that in front of people because of the current situation in Syria. Our mainstream media here in the UK is quite happily towing the agenda line, the propaganda line. Those that were once terrorists are now freedom fighters. We will ship them in, we will arm them, we will train them, we will even set up bases within the Syrian border to enable them to pass more easily into that country and further that destabilisation, that proxy war agenda. Yes, so it's, as I've said before recently, don't dwell too much on the Middle East news at the moment because there's a lot of it out there. It should be fairly obvious to people in terms of being able to look for it and find it for yourself. I don't feel the need to further add to potential energising of their propaganda. The propaganda is fairly easy to see through, I feel. Again, maybe that's my perspective. I apologise if you are catching up, as it were, but it's definitely something you should look at and keep an eye on. But as per usual, keep your critical glasses on and don't just accept what is being pumped out in the mainstream media, question it a bit, look a bit between the lines and behind the lines, who is pulling the strings and writing these articles. As I've said before, it seems the phrase of the year is unable to be independently verified, as a reference to sources. I think it will become the verbal meme or the mimetic phrase that sticks with this year. This year shall be known as sources unable to be independently verified. So yes, anyway, a good article in my opinion. Like I said, lots of good links there and stuff for you to look into if you wish to. Other news, moving swiftly on. Yes, I know other websites and talking heads, critics, hosts of shows, whatever you want to call them, have already mentioned this, and I think it's become somewhat viral, which I guess is fairly appropriate considering the content, but at the same time it unfortunately adds into that viral marketing, sales pitching. Unfortunately, I am referring to an article in the dailymail.co.uk about, if you're not on Facebook, you must be a psychopath. Whoa. Yes, folks, it's no longer just a proper title of the article. Is not joining Facebook a sign you're a psychopath? Some employers and psychologists say staying away from social media is suspicious. Yes, great, fantastic Daily Mail article. This is, it's just, this article was just designed for the Daily Mail. It's it's the perfect vehicle to put this kind of trash out there. As a sort of alluding to, considering Facebook was recently floated and didn't exactly do very well, and of course if you look a bit further into that, who funded it, blah blah blah, who holds major shares, blah 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 blah, should we say market manipulation? I think pump and dump is the sort of economic terminology for it. A handful of people, those people obviously in the club, will have made a nice tidy sum out of it, but all those people that in a similar fashion to the e-bubble that we experienced when the internet first really started taking off, I think they're going to end up with the same kind of bubble popping effect from their acquisition of shares in Facebook. But yes, that aside, just the implication of this article, it's just trash. I don't know how else to say it, or how else to point at it. But it's no longer that it is alluded to that if you are interested in or looking at something that is, according to the establishment, is categorised as conspiracy theory. Now it's just blatant. If you don't buy our product, you must be a psychopath. Oh, quick! Yes. You have to put on the lotion. It rubs the lotion on its skin. Sorry, making obtuse references to psychological domination there, but yes, anyway. We laugh and joke about the zombie apocalypse, but if people take this kind of trash as some kind of genuine truth in any way, then it means we are already in the zombie apocalypse. And all the zombies, the reason they don't talk properly is not because they're incapable of talking, it's because they're too busy typing away into their Facebook account. Yes, denigrations aside, I should not stereotype. I apologise for that. I don't want to stereotype. We're all on a process, we're all on an awakening process that is subjectively aligned to each individual. One's path is not the same as another. I can only hope that more people realise their path before we do truly end up in a zombie apocalypse. As a side note there, if anyone else who surfs the YouTubes may have noticed, I'm curious to see if this is something particularly deliberate. A lot of the alternative news channels, well, alternative media, I should say, channels, because they are not all necessarily news related. A common theme that I've noticed is amongst a disparate type of channels. They're not all one particular ideology or talking about one particular subject, because I look at a wide range of stuff. But I have commonly seen for possibly at least a week or not longer the image of Ronald Poppo. If you remember the guy who suffered the, as they were calling it, the zombie face-eating attack, the imagery of him after his hospital treatment, where you can see his face is, rather mashed up, and this is popping up on the most unassociated type of video content that I was looking at, yet this video is there in the usual YouTube recommended links down the sidebar. Is there a concerted effort going on here to put this one particular image in front of your brain? Is there a concerted effort to constantly reinforce this zombie apocalypse eating my face into people's brains? Does make me curious. Maybe it's just my browser. Maybe I should do the usual, clearing the cache and cookies and all that lot. Could be. But yeah, just a little side note there on that current meme of the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, be afraid, be very afraid. That's something else I will mention in a bit. I'll come back to in a bit. Other news, well, related to that, I was watching the GGN, the Global Government News Update. It's a good channel if you want to follow it. That's D Darko 2012, I think his YouTube channel name is. He collates the news from point of view of certain themes such as Big Brother, the surveillance state, the war machine. He puts these news packages together showing you the different articles that are relevant to each sort of subject or topic, and I find him a great resource in terms of spotting articles that I haven't spotted. It's also, as a little side note in that sense, in terms of channels such as that put out that kind of content. If you don't already know about Mox News, please go and check him out on YouTube. I think, in my opinion, he does a great job. He keeps a track of the mainstream media channels, primarily in America, but he does cover a few of the international channels, and re-uploads some of their articles and snippets that may be of relevance to people or interest to people. And he's over the years he's been under attack from various different directions and various different ways and means, from copyright claims to just blatant flagging, troll flagging, etc., etc. He's ended up having to shut down the one primary channel he had recently, and he started up another one, which you will find at, I think it's www.moxnews.com, with the Mox News part all in capitals, so www.moxnews.com as a YouTube username. I'm sure if you just search YouTube for Mox News, you'll be able to track him down. So yeah, please go and check them out if you haven't already. As I say, I feel they putting out an invaluable service because they do monitor those kind of mainstream media news outputs, which, you know, if ever you've attempted to do this, you'll know that it becomes a very time consuming activity to try and keep an eye on all the different mainstream media outlets that there are out there, even though it's evidentially arguable that the vast majority of all these different media outlets are owned by a very few conglomerate corporations. But there's still quite a few of them. So to keep track of them takes a fair bit of time and effort. So people who are doing that kind of thing, I'm appreciative of. Yes, anyway, before I diverted into that, this was another article that sort of related to the Facebook article, bouncing off from that Facebook article. This was in the Washington Post. The Washington Post. Just a little bit more of a sort of what would you call it? A social interest article rather than direct sort of news. Fugitive from Facebook questions of social media life. This was an interesting sort of little article about a woman who worked at Facebook. She was actually a fairly important role at Facebook. I think she was one of the main marketing people or something like that, who got disillusioned with that whole social media distraction. Now, I'm very, very appreciative of the interconnectability that the internet gives us. Don't get me wrong in that respect, but Facebook, as claiming what it is in terms of a place to meet friends and socialise, it's not. It's a surrogate, and it's a virtual surrogate that does not do as good a job as what you can actually do in real life. And people get sucked into it. I know, I'm not being hypocritical. I fell into the Facebook trap for a while. I spent far too much time playing stupid little games on Facebook and just lurking on the wall, waiting for somebody to say something interesting. And oh, look, somebody's just opened a bottle of wine. Oh, yes. So I'm fully aware of just how it can entice people in, yes. But please don't get trapped into that. Utilise it, but don't let it utilise you. Please do remember, it is a business. Even though they don't charge you to be on Facebook, they make money out of you being there. They make money out of every little bit of information you enter into it. Every keystroke that you put into Facebook has a potential for them to make money out of it. As I say, yes, I agree, it can be useful in making connections with people and sharing information, etc., things like that. Just be careful how you use it, know what you're doing, be aware of what you are doing and what you're getting involved in, what you're subjecting yourself to in terms of giving them your information. Right, yes, let me look back at my notes. Where am I going from that point, really? He's not being on Facebook a sign that you're a psychopath. Well, I'm sure they've probably put me in a little box somewhere a fair while ago, in their usual labelling fashion. And please don't be naive to believe that you are not included somewhere in those labelling definitions, because that little book they use, that little instruction manual of the definitions of mental illnesses or issues or whatever you want to call them, grows rapidly year by year. What was that classic one recently? Authoritative dissociative disorder. I cannot remember because some of the names they come up with are so ridiculous. Yes, anyway, before I digress into ranting about that whole psychiatric system. Other stories. Now, this sort of springing off partly, I need to open up, sorry, I'm multitasking, folks. I have this bookmarked because I was trying not to have so many windows open because it seems to make everything drag. Wait for that to upload. Yes, again, another article that I think is rapidly going viral, certainly within the UK, because it's, obviously highly relevant to the UK. But this is just indicative of what's going on in the Western nations at the moment, and I'll sort of talk about similar incidents that are going on in the USA as well recently. But anyway, this one, pasting into the chat room, again from The Guardian. Olympic spectator with Parkinson's wants exoneration after arrest is the actual title of the article. But if you have a read of it, again, I won't read these things out for you. I'll leave them for you to look at your leisure if you have the interest or intent to look at them. What to say about it? This is just, if people still can't see the insanity of what is going on, I don't know how else to point it out to them. I've talked before about how, from my perspective, in my opinion, there you go, your pedantic says your caveat. From my opinion, this Olympics event has been a fascistic display of imperialist power, and if you don't get on board with the adulation, you are being instantly targeted. And here is possibly possibly the most perfect example of this. This guy is arrested and put in handcuffs because he didn't smile at the cycling event. You obviously read the article. The guy suffers from Parkinson's. He's incapable of having facial expressions, therefore even if he was ecstatic at what he was viewing, he would not be able to smile about it. Yet the police went up and arrested him for a potential breach of the peace. I mean, please note that as well, a potential breach of the peace. He hadn't breached the peace, they're just saying, oh, he might. Look at him over there, he's looking a bit miserable, we better arrest him, he might do something. This is absolute insanity. How else do you want it described? If you're living in a society where if you don't cry in the right way, when the event organisers say you have to cry, you get sent off to Gulag, where are we living? Excuse me, where are we living? Are we in some fabled dictatorial state that is constantly held up as being one of the axis of evil, and we shouldn't be like that, and aren't they horrible and nasty to their people because they do that? And here is this guy getting arrested because he didn't smile. As I say, I think that particular article is already going somewhat viral within the UK because it is just, the situation is just so ridiculous. People can't help but going, have you seen this? What? And this, to me, is that crescendo, that crest of the wave that people have often talked about. Yes, things have to get a lot worse before the vast majority of people wake up. But things don't necessarily have to get really bad before more people wake up. And the more people that look at this kind of thing go, hang on a minute, what the hell? what the hell is this? This is crazy. Then they are beginning that process. Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that something like this could instantly spark an epiphany for people that expands their consciousness and wakes them up in that classic cliche sense. No, not necessarily. But it's going to start them questioning. It's going to start them feeling frustrated and fed up and annoyed. As I've said before, that anger, that initial anger process is the initial breaching of the denial dam. It's certainly not good for people to remain stuck in that anger process or to allow it to push them to do silly or immoral or reprehensible or regrettable acts, etc. But it's the beginning of the process, and that anger is an energy which can then help them further their own process. Maybe motivate them into being involved in some manner, even if it's just waving a sign at a protest. That's a beginning. That's a first step. That's a small stone that begins the avalanche. Sort of bouncing off from that article, and this is sort of jumping across the Atlantic to reference some stuff going on in the USA at the moment. This again is thanks to the GGN, to D Darko, because he had this link which I nabbed from his links. It's not exactly very well explained in that link for people looking at it in the chat room, but on ABC News, which is abcnews.go.com, title of the article is Airport Security Arsenal Adds Behaviour Detection. Now, this isn't really anything new. This is really just in reference to Dulles International Airport, adding in software which, don't mention it, made by an Israeli security firm. Right, and I remember I've included articles in recent shows that reference them doing exactly the same kind of stuff here in the UK. We are one of those pioneering nations for using this kind of new software technology. But that's just more like, recent and relevant to this kind of topic, because it turned out, supposedly, partly, or the reason why the police decided to arrest this guy at the event was because his behaviour, or shall we say his lack of expression, was flagged up by some of this software. So, in other words, software was scanning the crowds. Guy with Parkinson's who can't smile was spotted by the software, which is programmed to look for facial expressions, etc., to denote emotive content of that person's brain. Looked at him and went, "Oh, nothing recognised. That means he must be a danger. Danger! Warning! Danger! Will Robinson! Danger! Will Robinson! Send in the clones!" And so they did, send in the little blue bottle clones and arrested him. Would it have been beyond comprehensible reason to have expected a constable, a upholder of the common law, to not use their own discretion and reason to talk to this person and find out why and what was going on? Was that not possible? No, these drones just literally went through the motions and went, "Oh, you're nabbed, slap, slap, stick on the cuffs." Zombie apocalypse. Be a zombie apocalypse of brown shirts. Only this time they're wearing blue or black. If ever there's any potentiality of crowd disruption, you'll see the black shirts there with their turtle armour on, Other than that, they're usually buzzing around in their standard blue uniforms. But that's all it would have taken. You referenced the article. The guy is actually a martial arts instructor, I think. Yeah, martial arts instructor, ex-forces as well, I believe. He'd served in the forces at some point. And, although for me personally, I don't agree with the wars and all that kind of shit, but the point was, shouldn't that mean that this guy would be currently, in the current political and cultural societal climate, doesn't that mean that he would be given ordained respect for being a good citizen, for being a fine, upstanding citizen, because he'd served his country and he'd been off and put himself in danger, all that kind of good old patriotic stuff, but no. Neither of these officers used any of their own ability to discern the situation or to investigate and make a decision based on that investigation. No, they just went, software says do this, computer says slap handcuffs on suspect. Suspect looks a bit weird. So, be careful when you go out, if you're going out clubbing or something like that and you're getting a bit exuberant as you're walking up to the club and you might dance a bit and pull a funny face. You never know, there might be a CCTV looking at you and you'll set off all kinds of alarm bells and you'll have all these Ninja Turtle drones coming out the woodwork to tase you and pepper spray you and drag you off to a cage somewhere. Because you felt like dancing. Really, really dancing. Yeah, and as I said, just how else do you present to people the insanity of something like this, and yet they just seem to go, oh, well, yeah, that's the way it is, isn't it? You got to get on board. Big machine's chugging, we've got to support it. You love the Queen, all that good stuff, yeah. Did you see the way she was picking her nails when our team marched into the stadium? Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? She was really interested. Brilliant. Yes, sorry folks, I am as per usual digressing into silliness just because I have to laugh. I don't know how else to point at this without laughing, because otherwise I'd just end up looking like that classic Scream picture. Anyway, maybe I should play a bit of music as a break. I haven't played anything for a good, half an hour? Oh dear, maybe your brain's overloaded, maybe you need to run for a pee. Ty, get ready to run for a pee. No, you don't have to run, mate. I'll play something that lasts for a little bit, so you got plenty of time. Okay, yes, let's, I'm gonna throw some heavy stuff at you, and some of it is a little bit old school, some of it a bit more recent. Yeah, might make your ears buzz a bit, but sometimes the energy is required. And first track in particular, I feel, is fairly relevant to certain events that have occurred recently in the Sinai, the border between Egypt and Israel. Yes, line that up, play that first. So yes, I will be back in about 10 minutes. I hope you enjoy. If you don't, you ain't got long to wait till it's over. Don't worry, just hold your breath, sit your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la. Think of rainbows and puppy dogs and unicorns and yeah. Anyway folks, yeah, hope you enjoy. Welcome back folks, hope you can hear me okay. Sorry about the volume at the beginning of that. Yeah, a few people in the chat room go, oh, too loud, my speakers, quick. Sorry folks. yes, that was the Gitmos. We Are the Mossad, and then an old track, Exodus with Parasite, and something about the same timing, Ministry, NWO. Yeah, like I said, a little bit old school, a little bit of new stuff. The Gitmos track isn't that old. But yes, anyway, I know a bit of the heavy stuff, not to everybody's taste. Like I said, you didn't have to wait that long, and don't worry, I will play some bit more melodic, light, nice stuff later on. Yes, anyway, and please don't forget to check out the other shows. You get more of a variance of music if it's the music you're after, and of course interesting perspectives and articles, news and info, etc, etc. I've got Blue Bus on Monday night with the reality check, and Wednesday night is Aryan with For the Punk Show, which it's a brilliant collection of punk and hardcore stuff, skate stuff. Yeah, if you like that kind of thing, some great tracks. And well, this week Red's not doing his show on the Friday night, but hopefully he will have something going live on Saturday night. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to come out. He will be broadcasting live from a how shall we put it, a random location, let's put it that way. Yeah. Hopefully it will work and not get too crazy, but we shall see, or hear I should say, hopefully. Yeah, that'll be on Saturday night, folks, instead of Friday night. And I don't think Keelan is here on Sunday. Is he here on Sunday? If anybody knows in the chat room, I haven't heard anything to confirm that yet. But if not, hopefully he'll be back next week. I know he's been on holiday and had various stuff to do recently, so I'm sure he'll get back into the swing of putting stuff out soon. So yes, anyway, yeah, please check out the other stuff at FlippingThePyramid.co.uk. Lots of other shows to choose from and archive of stuff to listen back through if you want to. And of course, as I usually do each week, give a big shout out and big love to Adonis over at Finn, doing his regular daily Wake the F Up show. Allowing for the time difference, yeah, it's a morning show for him over there in the USA. Usually don't hear it till afternoon over here in the UK. But yeah, go and check them out at freedominfonetwork.org. Yes, anyway, right, where did I get to? Yes, I mentioned that one. Yes. This is coming from the Activist Post. It's a little bit of a conglomerate. Is that the right word? I'm not sure, not really. An amalgamation of different little events that have been going on recently. Title of the article: DHS and US military make final preparations before announcing martial law. It's on theactivistpost.com. Now, yes, I would agree there is a fair amount of arguably fear-based propaganda within this. But I feel that that's only if you let it affect you in that way. Yes, this could quite easily be used as fear porn propaganda. But even though some of the things mentioned in the article are a little bit speculative or tenuous, I've seen enough of the bits of news over the past week or more. It's been 2 weeks now, really, since at least 2 weeks since the situation in Anaheim, and this is ongoing. This is not just some crazy right-wing fringe element on the internet complaining about the police again. No, I'm afraid it's a bit more than that, folks. If you bother to keep a track and look for these bits of information that are coming out. As I think it was last week I was talking about, you could see it in the one image on that particular article, police wearing full military garb. They're not wearing police uniforms, they're wearing urban camo. So apart from the fact that on their riot shields it says police, if it wasn't for that, they look like military. And of course you've got various rollouts of armoured vehicles and sale of armoured vehicles to different police departments, etc., etc. But as I said, yes, I know this good old martial law meme is constantly banged around out there and used as fear propaganda. But I find it somewhat undeniable to see the militarisation of the police forces and the rollout and implementation of that Stasi-style police state, random checkpoints from the TSA, all that kind of good stuff that's been going on in the USA recently. As I say, if you don't allow the fear to take hold, remember, fear is the mind killer, fear is the little death. If you don't allow the fear to take hold, there is interesting and relevant information within that article. Some of the comments are quite interesting as well, if you're the kind of person that can be bothered to read through the comments. There's quite a lot there to read through. And you know, one of the things about the activist posts is the fact you can post comments anonymously, which unfortunately means, you know, you can quite easily be subjected to propaganda or extreme fundamentalist viewpoints, whatever. You know, as we've talked about a lot before, if you want free speech, then unfortunately it means you do occasionally have to listen to idiots. But there you go. Yes, I felt that was relevant again to keep prodding people to not forget that this is going on. As I said, there's been a lot of news recently. The cascade that seemed to begin in 2011 is certainly accelerating to a crescendo, to the point where these kind of events, or the information about such events, is coming out day after day, you know, multiple times per day. I think I might have mentioned it ages ago. I know Adonis, and we've chatted about it at some point or another. The word apocalypse, just revelations, etc. What does it mean in its basic sense? It means the great revealing. You know, it means that the show is over, so the cast are going to step forward and bow, and the writer will come out from behind the wings and take his bow, and blah 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 blah. The great revealing. There are no more secrets. Everything is revealed before the divine, so that all may be judged, etc., etc., if you follow that kind of religious perspective. But yes, my reason of rambling on that is, again, back to that novelty factor. Are we seeing this crescendo as a physical exuberance of that revealing, a physical emanation? Maybe that was a better word. I knew it began with E, but there you go. An emanation of that revealing from the metaphysical into the physical. And of course, you know, as I've said before, and the kind of stuff I talk about in general, yes, I have a more spiritual inclination, so therefore I would also include the spiritual within that. The metaphysical to the physical, with the spiritual acting as the conduit. We are all transceivers. You are the transmuter, you are the alchemist. Yes, so anyway, before I digress too far into more esoteric stuff. There are lots of other articles and bits and bobs of information floating around about this situation. This is not just in relevance to Anaheim. Anaheim is just a really good overt, don't using good in the sense of a good example, overt example of this going on. I think, as I mentioned last week, it's is it one of those coincidence things that this all happens to be taking place outside the gates of Disneyland? Oh, look, they threaten the corporate beast. Quick, roll out the drones. Yes, indeedy. And in this rollout, we get to see how they want it to be. This is going to be the new paradigm. As I said, your old paradigm of the blue bottle constable, peacekeeper, supposedly, within your community has been replaced with urban camo-wearing hornets of doom. Yes, getting all fear-porn dramatic. Oh, be afraid, be terribly afraid. Sort of connected to that story, simply because it again references that militarisation of the police state. This is something that I saw mentioned on the InfoWars on Alex Jones' channel. Yes, I do still look at the Alex Jones channel. Again, be sovereign to your own knowledge and discernment. This is the actual article that he was talking about. This is on a site called smallwarsjournal.com. The title is Full Spectrum Operations in the Homeland, A Vision of the Future. Now, this was in relation to a PDF document that AJ was talking about, which I tried to download from the article, but it just says I do not have permission, I am not allowed access. So the PDF might be available elsewhere online. I haven't made any concerted effort to try and track it down yet. But that is, again, in reference to the militarisation of the police state, and as these think tanks, supposedly think tanks, I'm not sure if you just call them septic tanks. Yes, thanks but no tanks. That militarisation and their own speculative planning for how they will excuse me how they will deal with the potential civil unrest that is likely to ensue. They're projecting this at 2016. I think it's arguable that some of the stuff that is going on currently makes it seem a bit more contemporary rather than 2 years down the line. And that is, of course, as long as we're not all floating off on the mothership by the end of this year. Yes. But besides that possibility, if that potentiality does not emanate itself, then we will be into 2013, 14, 15, etc., etc. So as per usual, yes, they will make plans like this. Please, if you're still stuck in that naive point of view of thinking that the army are nice guys, they're our military, they're nice guys, they love us, they only ever think about caring for us. They never make plans about how to kill us. No, of course they don't. When you have these kind of institutions or systems, socio-cultural systems, whatever you want to define them as, then unfortunately it means you have to view this kind of thing from an objective point of view. It's about the species, people. That's why they have phrases such as collateral damage. that Orwellian manipulation of the meaning of words, so that it's okay. It doesn't matter if a few of them die. It's not me, is it? They're protecting me. They're protecting me. But if these people are prepared to do such things as drone assassinations resulting in collateral damage, then do you really think they're not capable of considering what they would have to do if they had to deal with you, or if they just decided to deal with you for whatever reason? Classically, every dictatorship, or certainly everyone I can think of right now off the top of my head, goes through that same process. Don't worry, people, we're just going to protect you. Don't worry, these men with guns are only here for your safety. Kill them. It goes, a little button with the microphone, it goes, kill them. Please don't still be stuck in that naivety of thinking, that they're all just about loving you and caring for you and protecting you. Yes, that's part of what is supposedly the reasoning that they fulfill. I find that highly debatable, but that is supposedly what it's meant to be for. But yes, there's plenty evidence of your own military within whichever particular geographical boundaries you found yourself born into, i.e. what country you're born into. Here in the UK, you can just quite easily look up things like Porton Downs, or the release of chemical and biological weapons into some of the islands in Scotland, so that they could see what would happen and see where these biological threats were transmitted to in the mainland via the winds and currents, etc., etc. So yeah, they do quite happily do these kind of things, but they just don't mention them to you. Because, these men with guns are just here to look after you. Of course they are. Don't worry about it. The football match is on. Look at the Olympics. Oh, look at his shiny gold medal. It's only, what is it? Something like 1.3% gold. It's gold medal, honest, it's gold. It's gold. I thought that was quite an amusing little bit of information, ironically amusing little bit of information about the Olympics at the moment here in this country. It just sort of epitomises the austerity meme that, I don't know how else to say it, the epitome of the current supposed situation that we are all in the Western world because of the banker crisis. It just looks the same, but it's only 0.013% gold. So it's sort of the same, but yes, faux gold. It's a faux gold medal. And jump for the hoops, dance, run for that medal, you have to have it. Ooh, just, oh, yes. Anyway, before I start rambling off in silliness again, in a very tenuous connection, but as I like to do, and I think this sort of, to the degree that it's able to the degree that there was any kind of particular theme within this current episode, I think this article presents some information in an interesting way, to hopefully make it more apparent to people, to hopefully yet again prod through that denial barrier, maybe make people a little bit more aware of their surroundings and what they subject their own brain, their own mind, their own self to. And this is an article on cracked.com. 5 ways you don't realise movies are controlling your brain. Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. They can't do that. Oh no, they don't. Hollywood is great. It's brilliant. We love Hollywood. It gives us fantastic films like Batman. You can't denigrate Hollywood. Holywood. Where the Druids would go to gather their mistletoe. Yes, anyway. It is an interesting little article. Like I said, it's just hopefully prod a few neurons for people, maybe make them a bit more aware or question a little bit more, or maybe be a little bit more critical of what they absorb and allow into their heads. It just was relevant to me because of the recent shooting incidents in America, which just as each day goes by, just more and more seem like an agendized deliberate act to herd people in certain directions. As I mentioned earlier, I would mention again, be afraid, be very afraid. The evil nasty men with beards and funny eyeballs who don't smile are coming to get you. And it was also somewhat relevant to me because recent conversations was having with people, and I'd sort of just mentioned in passing that classic sort of reuse of archetypes within the different stories that are presented to us on a very regular basis by not just Hollywood, but the big media machine, Hollywood in particular, for the big picture type films. The same archetypes again and again and again, the same storylines again and again and again. As it points out within the article, the orphan hero who must fight against the evil empire to save the goodly folk of the village. If you've there's an old black and white classic film from Japan, which if you haven't seen, I would highly recommend watch it in its original form, The Seven Samurai. It may not necessarily be to everyone's taste. It can be a little slow and dry. It's black and white. It will be subtitled, etc., etc., if you watch it in its original form. And it is about 4 hours long, I think. So, it is for most people nowadays, it's a bit of an ordeal to sit through. But if you have an interest, you might find it a very interesting film to watch, because it does encapsulate that kind of classic hero storyline. But yes, anyway, digressing again. The use of propaganda, fear porn, manipulation of the mind in subtle ways doesn't necessarily have to be an overt Clockwork Orange type thing. They don't necessarily have to have you secreted away in some lab for years, pumping you full of strange drugs and forcing you to watch horrible things on the TV screen 24/7, listening to weird noises and all the kind of good stuff that these mind manipulators like to play with in back rooms. They don't necessarily need to do that. It'll be the subtle drip, drip, drip effect, the normalisation and acclimation around certain subjects, certain themes, certain memes, certain concepts and mental constructs that they give you and then feed. They give you the basic storyline and then they repeat it again and again and again and again, to force it home, to ram it home, to make you think that that is the reality you are within. A spoonful of sugar helps the shit go down. When I was a little kid, yes, again, I admit my own hypocrisy. When I was a little child, I really liked the Disney films. I thought they were great. I always wanted to watch all the Disney films. As kids do, again and again and again. You get to the end of the film, you just like, put it on again, watch it again, way. Yes, I did the same. But over the years, as I was growing up and picking up bits of information here and there, realizing different perspectives and utilizing different aspects of how to look at this information and what they were presenting to me, what they were putting in front of me, made me question more, made me find out more information. And now, as I said, Spoonful of Sugar is just one of those classic songs that for me epitomises the Disney propaganda machine. Oh, look, isn't it all so lovey-lovey, all family-orientated loveliness, la 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 la, everybody dancing in the field, doing as they're told, because they've been told to dance in that field. Yes, again, another subject I hadn't intended to drift off into, but that's what I do, folks. I do have a tendency to drift into other topics, that's why I make notes. Anyway, yes, rambled enough around that for a little bit. Please keep, if you are interested, of course, if you want to, it's up to you, that's your decision, your subjective point of view, not mine. Keep an eye on what is currently going on with that kind of militarised rollout in the USA. I think I've said it before, here in the UK it certainly doesn't seem to be as overt, because we are fairly obviously a much smaller country, therefore they don't necessarily need as much of a overt physical presence in that respect. We have a very, very integrated and encompassing surveillance system to keep an eye on us and make sure we're smiling. I think that might be a new plastic surgery choice that could be offered in the near future. The software face. Let's call it that, the software face. You can have your face stitched up to make it look like the most acceptable expression that is recognised by these bits of software. So you can just walk around all day being as miserable as you want, and the software will quite happily go, tick, yes, he's allowed through, look at him, isn't he a good, happy citizen? You think I'm taking the mickey? You just wait and see. Yes, anyway, I'm going to play some more music, which I feel is somewhat relevant to something else I wanted to mention. I'm running out of time, so I won't play that one or that one, or I might do in a bit anyway, but I'll come back to it. That one. So, yeah, just a couple of songs, not that long. I'll be back with you in about 9 or 10 minutes. Something a bit, I was going to say melodic, maybe, depends if you're into that kind of stuff, and something a bit heavy-ish, don't get worried, it's not as full on as the other stuff, but they seem to go well together in my opinion. One is very, very, very old in its origins, although the particular recording isn't that old, but the origins of the song are very old, and one a bit more recent. Anyway, yeah, I'll shut up and play music.
You know, floating in a sea of misinformation, outright lies, and institutionalized indoctrination, floating in a sea of misinformation, outright lies, and institutionalized indoctrination,
flipping the whole paradigm of that hierarchical system on its head.
Together, we are flipping the pyramid. The corporate-controlled media, the agendized academia. The corporate-controlled media, the agendized academia.
Flipping the whole paradigm of that hierarchical system on its head.
We must first understand what is really taking place, floating in a sea of misinformation, outright lies, and institutionalized indoctrination. Flipping the Pyramid.
We together, we are flipping the pyramid. Cool little jingle there, thank you. Yes, that was, as I said, a very, very old tune. Obviously a more recent recording, because I think the tune dates back to the 14th century. You know, they didn't exactly have vinyl records, etc. back in the 14th. Well, as far as I know, they didn't. Yeah, that was the Diggers song from Chumbawamba. I think that, for me, that makes recompense for some of the atrocious pop songs that they put out over the years. Yeah, I've mentioned this lots before about the Diggers. If you don't know about the Diggers, please go and look them up. Interesting story to maybe help you understand the cycles of history and how what is going on at the moment is not exactly anything new. In its core, it's just wearing new clothing, as it were, as new set decoration. And that was, of course, Muse with Uprising as well. The reason I played or wanted to play the Diggers song, it felt appropriate to me as somewhat of a tribute, albeit as, you know, it's empty in a way, as just simply a acknowledgement of, not exactly helping much, but that was as a sort of a tribute, a deference to, I believe his name is Roger Peon, in America, the farmer who, when undergoing arrest, decided to take his tractor and crush several police cars using said tractor, and then make good his escape because they had no police cars available to pursue him with, because he'd crushed them all. Yes, somewhat amusing, and I know that there is that situation that, well, you know, it means now that he's going to get into even more trouble, etc., etc., because of what he did. But, you know, as has been said many times and in many different ways, when you keep pushing people to an edge and the people have got nothing left to lose, they do crazy things. And at least by what he did, he didn't injure anyone. He just destroyed a bit of property. And yes, I know it means that they'll all now probably get nice new shiny police cars, and it'll cost the taxpayers in that area more money, etc., etc. But it does bring these kind of cases into the public consciousness, because it's the kind of story that catches their attention. I remember a similar event here in the UK a few years ago, where a farmer utilised his muck spreading equipment to spray the council house, to completely cover the outside of the council house in manure. He just casually drove up, set up the equipment, sprayed it, and then, you know, casually drove off again. This is in tribute to those protests, and to, as I say, to Roger Peon. I haven't got any particular links for this, because it is a little story that's buzzing around the net at the moment, so I'm sure you can find it if you want to find it. Yes, just look up farmer drives tractor over police cars, something like that, you'll probably find it. In a somewhat similar vein, I also wanted to mention, and for those people in the chat room, although I'm guessing the people in the chat room will probably have already seen this, or have the links or whatever, or looked at the links. It's a link to copblock.org. This is their Free a Demo campaign, or the beginnings of their Free a Demo campaign. Demo Freeman, he's one of the guys who works at Cop Block or works for Cop Block. Say work, I don't think they're getting paid as in a paid job of work. A lot of these people are doing their thing voluntarily, giving freely of their time and effort and energy, etc. In the same manner as the folks here at FTP and at other sites, people are attempting in a voluntary fashion to at least put stuff out there and hopefully help others to keep on their path and keep moving, finding stepping stones, finding links to information, making connections, etc., etc. But yeah, I wanted to mention this. I don't know the full ins and outs of his particular case. I know it's to do with the fact that he uploaded that video of him talking with the police in relevance to the student being arrested, and he had recorded the conversation without telling them. So yes, just to put it out there, add my energy to the information in the sense of to keep it circulating, keep it in front of people, maybe prod their awareness to this information. I think Cop Block, it's another one of those things that to me is unfortunately required at the moment. So they to me are doing a good service for everybody's society, not just particular to the USA. Again, use cliche quote from Martin Luther King: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." So I appreciate what they're doing, and as I say, I wanted to just remind people about this stuff that's going on. And of course his case is not one in particular, an individual exception or anything like that. This is so common. There's a lot of litigation now passing through the Canadian court system over the whole G20 debacle that went on a couple of years ago. That in and of itself should make people question the police state that their countries are, I was going to say becoming, but I feel unfortunately really they are. It's not a becoming, it's just that the public awareness and acceptance of the preponderance of it is slowly being pushed out. Drip, 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 acclimation. It's already there. All this stuff is already installed. All these systems are all ready to be kicked into full gear, which means it is already here. It's not approaching 1984. It already is 1984. What is your chocolate ration today? Your chocolate ration today is a gold medal that's not quite really gold. We're still at war with Eurasia. Al Qaeda is our enemy, friend, enemy, friend. Oh, it already is 1984. So, I posted a link on the videos page of the FlippingThePyramid.co.uk website to a video that was put up by Freeman. He's a researcher who's been around for a number of years. He puts out some very interesting stuff. He does podcasts, he's got websites, does regular radio shows, etc. Very interesting little video. It's one of his podcasts that he put out recently. It's only an hour long. If you've got the time, listen to it, watch it. Some good information in the pictures as well to have a look at. And one thing he says towards the end of that particular broadcast that he did, which I do agree with wholeheartedly, I can't think of how else to say it, is that what a lot of people like himself, maybe like myself, without allowing my ego to get too buffed up or whatever, we're just trying to put stuff out there to help enable the possible potential changes for the better, to speak out against this system that, as I say, is already there. It's simply the mass social acceptance of it that we are experiencing at the moment. It's already been constructed. It's already there, ready to go. They're just acclimating everybody to it. So, if anything, if you are the resistance, if we are the resistance, then what we are doing is trying to make as many people aware of this as possible. We're not attacking the system. We're not going out there and attempting to find the Skynet transmission satellite dish so that we can smash it up and end the rule of Skynet. Whoa. No, we're trying to help others realise what it is that's going wrong here, so that hopefully they can think about and join in working on solutions to potentially change things for the better, to get away from this destructive paradigm that seems to be coming to a culmination, that unfortunately, no matter how you try and approach it, just looks more and more like global war. You know, you can all shout fair porn as much as you like. Whoa. Yeah, go for it, fill your boots. That doesn't change what is actually going on, does it? Yes, it's scary shit. Yes, there's scary shit going on. And as I've said before, the fear only has any power if you let it take control. Fear is the mind killer, if you let it. It doesn't remove the objective reality of what is going on this planet at the moment. What can you do about it? As somebody very aptly said earlier while we were chatting, thank you very much, I can't remember who said it, I think it was Stop the Right, he said it. You know, what can you do about it? Stop saying, what can I do about it? That's a good first step. Stop saying, what can I do about it? Maybe start actually looking into what you can do about it. Maybe start actually talking to others about, hey, what can we do about this? Was it Nick Chief? Sorry, thank you for letting me know. It's Nick Chief that said that, thank you. Yeah, stop saying such ridiculously disempowering removal of any kind of responsibility. Stick your head down, go back to your little bread and circuses entertainment. Oh, I'm alright, it doesn't matter, I'll be dead when all this happens, it doesn't matter. That's the disempowerment that they want you to suffer from. They are debilitating you from every different angle, full spectrum dominance. They're poisoning your food, they are controlling your resources so you live in constant scarcity and run the hamster wheel to compete with each other, etc, etc, etc. Yeah, stop saying such inane stupidities as, well, what can I do about it? If you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to fear. Well, that looks like a nice truck. Where's it going? Oh, there's a camp with showers. These showers look nice. Oh, I'm a bit itchy. Oh, I'm dead. Yes, I'm being deliberately facetious and cynical, etc. I'm going to play a couple more tunes to play out, because I feel that after being such a terrible fear doom merchant upon your heads, I should give you something a bit more uplifting to finish with. Oh yeah, I'll play that one just simply because people have said they would like to hear it, as per usual. That's and I'm gonna add that one in as well. So 3 tracks. They're not too long, but they'll add up to about 10 minutes. And I say thank you very much for listening, folks. If you listened this far, listening to me waffling on and weaving yogurt, good on ya. Now actually start thinking about what you can do, rather than just listening to some bearded weirdie talking about weird conspiracy theories and coincidental things that just don't make any sense. Oh, it's all so strange. Yes, anyway, folks, take care, and I will chat at you again soon. Please remember, it's Saturday night for Red Show rather than tomorrow night. It should be interesting, maybe a bit chaotic, but it should be interesting. So yes, anyway, folks, take care, keep evolving.
Flipping the Pyramid. www.flippingthepyramid.co.uk. We aim to discover the truth about our world and the issues it faces.